Hi all, this is Akshara Menon from PMS Bazaar. Welcoming you to the episode 3, season 2 of Alternate Universities. Every month we come up with a new guest and a new topic, and we will have always our experts talk on the same. And today's topic is Ikigai in wealth management. An interesting topic. With no delay, let me welcome the guest speaker of the day, Mr. Rajiv Bajaj, who's the chairman and managing director of Bajaj Capital Limited, a leading financial services firm in India with a 60-year-old legacy. Known for his expertise in personal finance, he's also founded the Financial Planning Standards Board India, introducing a certified financial planner marked to the country. Under his leadership, Bajaj Capital has grown and diversified, offering wide range of financial products and services. Raju is recognized too for his strategic vision and commitment to innovation. Seeking deeper purpose, Raju has studied longevity and happiness in blue zones like Loma Linda and Okinawa. This inspired him to focus on holistic client partnerships, promoting wealth, health, and purposes. He launched initiatives like retirement and total well-being and advocates for Ikigai. As an Ikigai coach and co-author of the book on the Japanese Ikigai, Raju continues to make the positive impact. Moving on to the moderators, a man who needs no introduction, a very familiar face to all of us, Mr. Vikaas and Sachdeva, is the industry star world with over 3 decades of experience in asset management business. He is currently the managing director of Sundaram Alternate Assets Limited. Moving on to the next man who have joined us for the episode 3 and season 2, Mr. Hitungshu Debnath is a financial services professional with over 3 decades of experience across mutual funds, alternative assets, wealth management, fintech, TPD, and broking. He is currently the Chief Business Officer at Sundaram Alternate Assets Limited. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Akshara. While you were talking and you were introducing Rajiv, it just struck me that a couple of things which he's done way ahead of the cycle has actually not been mentioned in his profile. I don't know how many of you are aware, Rajiv, but correct me if I'm wrong. You actually established the country's first financial services education entity, FPSP, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Right.
You were one of the founding members, correct?
Yeah, we
were way back in the day. Yeah, I remember that was so way ahead of its time. And the other thing I distinctly remember is Optimics. You had also started Optimics, which talked about asset allocation and all sorts of exotic products way ahead of its time. Am I right?
Yes, our intention was to make India's first multi-manager.
Multi-manager, that is the word. Correct. Absolutely, absolutely. So while she was talking, it just took me down memory lane, and I said, "These are something which are not mentioned in your profile. I think I should highlight." Talking about things about you, Rajiv, I should tell you that as always, it's my pleasure to introduce you as the person behind the professional. And as always, we've done a lot of digging around. We've spoken to friends, we've spoken to colleagues of yours, ex-colleagues of yours, and I've got some stuff which I thought I should just share with you. Let's start about with your employees. Obviously, your employees adore you; they're in awe of you. But one thing they talk about very often, in fact, this is a common thread everybody talks about, is your discipline in terms of time management. Okay, you are very punctual. In fact, down to the second. One of the guys said कि घड़ी भी set कर सकते हैं. Okay, so and that actually is quite a compliment because most people are not able to do it. Not just that, you're able to conduct meetings and finish them on time, which I think people really appreciate. And I think one of the things you are able to do this because you're very prepared and planned for the meetings. There have been people who give me anecdotes about how you prepared on the go for a meeting, just so that when you go there, you have everything right in terms of facts. No doubt, you are a very entrepreneurial person yourself, and your management style is very entrepreneurial. That's what your colleagues keep telling us. What you try to do is, as a visionary, break the broad contours of where you want the firm to go, and you let people find their way. You give a lot of freedom to execute, and in case there are mistakes, you're very, very patient with them. Actually, it's not surprising when I hear this and I try to just connect the dots and realize that your firm has been rated as a great place to work for 11 years in a row. That speaks quite a lot in terms of your managerial style and how people have adapted to it. You have a softer side to your personality. You are quite creative, and I've seen your offices right from your Nehru Center office to this office. I think you've always made the best use of space, the best use of creativity. And it's always been a pleasure to actually see that. Uh, your team appreciates your humility. They say that you've reached a certain level in life, a certain stature in life, but you don't take things for granted. To the extent that in case you think you made a mistake, you're the first one to apologize. There is no layer of ego which comes in. And I think that's a great lesson which is permeated down the ranks. Having said that, people say that behind this soft, nice looking person is a very hard taskmaster. If he doesn't get what he gets, he will make sure that he gets it. And actually, they say that one of the few things which gets your vote is people not owning up, and saying that this is not my job or whatever. That really gets to you. Apart from smaller things in life, you like a clean desk, you like a clutter-free room, and if it's not there, obviously, I think I can empathize with that quite a bit.
Yeah.
At a personal level,
it's clutter free behind you.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Yeah. I think you should charge people for a tour to your office.
Sir, अब और खिंचाई मत कीजिए.
But at a personal level, sorry, you were saying something. Did I interrupt you?
No, मैंने कहा और खिंचाई मत कीजिए.
At a personal level, I was very surprised to find, and actually not surprising, that you're writing a book on Ikigai. You've got 5 people, 2 from Japan and 2 from India, who are actually helping you with this book. Now, this is something which was quite interesting to me. You're a fitness enthusiast, of course, you're quite fit, but you practice 8 Qi Gong exercises. You've actually trained with a Shaolin in China, or rather trained in Shaolin, which is in China, with a Shifu.
Yes.
The only time I've ever heard about Shifu was in Kung Fu Panda 4. I thought that was a fictional character, but I'm really amazed that you actually went, you trained there. And not just that, you're also a yoga enthusiast.
Yeah.
So that's quite a thing back in your day. You have a keen interest in the study of longevity, and you have visited all blue zones. I think that's something for the audience to unpack now. What is a blue zone? It can be good, interesting reading for people. And your mission in life, your colleagues say, is to help people find their Ikigai. I'm just going to come by and ask you what is Ikigai in a bit, but let me just introduce you first. In a lighter vein, but you're dead serious when you say this, you consider yourself to be a Japanese soul in an Indian body.
Yeah.
And ever since I've heard that, I'm trying to find my purpose in life. What type of soul am I in this Indian body? And I'm still trying to find. Maybe I'll take your help. But that's very interesting. The way you think, I think it's so culturally aligned to the Japanese. In your family, you have 2 sons, Jay, who's taken over your retirement planning business, and the younger one, Shivam, who's actually into an Ayurvedic analytics company. That's quite interesting. I think the website is personalnutrition.com, right? That's quite interesting. Your wife, Anupama, is an art gallerist, and she runs the Art Positive Gallery. Yeah. And rounding things off, in your family, you have a small white puppy. Okay, not surprisingly, called Tokyo. So all things Japanese. You're very close to your parents. You visit your mom quite often, and I think, like a true Capricorn, you identify with your parents' vision. Your main aim is to continue your father, who's also the founder of the firm, his legacy. Last but not the least, I think you are quite a travel bug. You love to travel, explore new cultures, cuisines, and always try to learn something new. So I had great fun in getting this about you. So I thought I should share this with you, what your colleagues and people around you think about.
Yeah. So thank you for such a one. I'm surprised you've done a lot of research, and I've never had any conversation with anybody who knows so much about me before we've started the chat. Thank you very much. There is one thing you haven't said, Vikaas, that I'm quite a relationships person.
Oh yes.
So once a friend, always a friend.
Absolutely.
And I have 2 of you on this group today. You and Hitungshu. So I can say it with confidence that we are all friends for life. Hitungshu, I met today, just before the chat, after a long gap, few years, but my friendships are such that they are perpetual. And Vikaas, you and I we exchange very good chemistry whenever we meet, and we share, this common passion for financial services industry innovation. So we always brainstorm that over a hot cup of coffee.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for those kind words. I think it's always a pleasure exchanging notes on something esoteric, something out of the box. But talking about esoteric and out of the box, let me come to something conventional and within the box. I think one of the questions which have come in from the audience when we floated this program's request is about the union budget. A lot of people want to know your views. If quickly, you could talk about what your views are on the union budget and what it means for people at large.
So विकास, देखिए, आपने मुझे कुछ देर पहले मैसेज किया कि यूनियन बजट के बारे में बात करेंगे. मैंने, to be very honest, I had not even, besides watching the speech for part of the time, I had not done any research. All so my motto is let the experts do what they do best. So my research team and others. And the way I manage my own money is I give it to professional fund managers like yourselves, and let them manage the money. But having said that, I am very, very passionate about the overall asset mix. So this budget is very visionary. It's long-term oriented, being the first budget of this newly formed government. So there's a refreshed focus on women, on youth, on rural, on infra, and certain states are being boosted. So what this will lead to is that it should lead to market, possibly taking a little breath, because it's been just running a continuous marathon up, and because the sector preferences may change. And guys like you and would be more qualified, honestly, to speak about that. But I see that maybe certain sectors like NBFC, auto, FMCG, fertilizer, housing, EPC are possibly greater beneficiaries, and maybe the mid caps may take a little breather. People may take refuge in large caps for the time being. These are some very, very initial views, which and then maybe sectors where there's been a build up, like defense and railways, and power and roads and real estate. There could also be a little breather there. These are my limited thoughts. So it would a good time to be in as an investor in a multi-cap fund, I would say.
Interesting. A multi-cap fund. Interesting. Well, I was listening to the budget speech. What came to my mind was what Prime Minister Modi was talking about a few months ago in an interview. He mentioned four things which he envisions for India. One is the scope. The scope should be very large. So if you see what the finance minister has done, she's brought in employment, she's brought in a lot of other things, growth, Viksit Bharat. So the scope is huge. Talking about huge, the scale at which this ministry, this budget thinks and this government thinks is global. So when you think global, I think what they're trying to do is align themselves globally. It could be in terms of taxation, it could be in terms of a lot of other things, which I think is a process. Fiscal discipline. I think the other thing which is a large focus is skill. A lot of focus is on skill, training the youth, making sure that the youth come into the work stream. And last but not least, which I think is yet to be seen, is speed. All of this can fall by the wayside if it's not implemented fast. So I think you've given a more precise answer. I've given a slightly more opaque answer than you. But I thought it's something which struck me, and I just wanted to share with the audience at large as well, that these four factors are what probably are firing the budget on all cylinders. So I think the audience should be very happy with this answer. So let me just start off with my first set of questions. But before I start, I just want to ask you, for most of us who are uninitiated in this, what is Ikigai? Okay. If you could just explain.
Ikigai, So, I'll have to tell you a little story to come to Ikigai. I've always been curious, about life. As you know very well, Vikaas, I believe in doing everything well and with high quality. And hence that also attracts me to Japan, that sense of perfectionism, but also the acceptance that perfection doesn't exist, that wabi-sabi concept of perfect and imperfect. So Ikigai is basically, it means purpose of life in Japanese, but it started by my research on what does it take to lead a good life and what is a good life. And essentially, and it came out of my profession, which is financial planning. Because, you also mentioned in my introduction that I research longevity. So my longevity research led me to Ikigai, because longevity, Ikigai is one of the key tools of longevity. If somebody is leading a life of purpose, their lifespan increases. So, let's talk about, the most admired man in India, our Prime Minister. Nobody needs to guess what our Prime Minister's Ikigai is.
True.
Yes, the whole nation knows it. All of us know, all 150 crore people know that he wants India to be a Viksit Bharat, a developed nation, and he wants to improve life of every citizen. So that's his Ikigai. So this is, when, what is it, that we do, which will impact, the society. That also is Ikigai. So that the difference between passion and Ikigai is that passion, I could enjoy playing tennis, I could enjoy martial arts. That's my passion. But on the other hand, Ikigai is a passion which you have for serving others.
Beautiful.
So that is, and that also we could elaborate on this thought, when we go into the topic of today, which is Ikigai and wealth management. But for now, Ikigai is a longevity tool, and it is a way to live life better, and that is what attracted me to research of the concept. So this is where we are, Vikaas. And maybe at this stage, if we can, Vikaas, we can play a little video for people.
Please.
One of the most beautiful places I've been to in Okinawa, but this 2-minute video will give everybody a very good introduction of Ikigai.
Beautiful. Please do.
沖縄には生きがいという言葉があります。毎朝起きる原動力を与えてくれるものだと思います。
目覚ましい本当に遠くに投げ捨てようかなと思う時もあるんだけど、我慢して自分のお尻に鞭を打って起きて走りに行きます。
踊りの竜舞道場に通っている生徒たちの成長を見るため。
そうですね、私の生きがいは、いつも馬に会いに行くために、仕事をしに行きながら、責任を持って人と馬とも接していっていますね。
お客さんがね、喜んでもらえたら一番嬉しいんだけど、
いや、自分には兄弟もいないし、この孫たちがたくさんいて、たまには孫たちが寄ってくるさね。もう本当これが生きがいである。
世界チャンピオンになりたいんだって、俺はなるんだって、家族のために、チームのために、自分自身のためにということが生きがいですね。
家族があったり、友達がいたりいて、みんなに助けられて、こいつのために助けたいとか、それを 苦にも思わずできたり、仕事も目標があって、それに対しての勉強や努力は全然疲れない、苦にならない現状のことじゃないですかね。一日楽しむために起きてます。
沖縄では、ハッピー、毎日が、幸せであればそれで生きがい。
That's beautiful.
Nescafe is Ikigai. You know,
I just got goosebumps looking at that. Amazing. In fact, I think some people have asked for a. Sorry, Rajiv.
If I could ask you and Hitungshu one question, would you allow me?
Yeah, please.
So what did you pick up, in this ad? If I could ask you 1 point each, like one thing which hit you or touched you.
Dave, you go first.
The reason for waking up every day morning should be the purpose of your life, which makes it so much makes you so involved, and it gives it all you have from your heart. Yeah. And it doesn't no longer looks like a burden. It becomes a part of your life, part of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think what struck me, Rajiv, is the fact that every single person who was talking was smiling. They were at peace.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So I couldn't just see beyond their smiles. I was just looking at their smiles.
Wow, yeah. So what, happiness is, what we all seek. And during our journey of writing the book, we realized that it's basically fulfillment, and those moments which take your breath away. That is what, builds up to happiness. So if I were to, give you a financial services context or a wealth management context, all of us, we are in this generation and era of FIRE, which is financially independent, retire early. So many of the youngsters who are 23, 26-year-old today, they say, maine to 40 tak retire karna hai, and then I want to do what I'm really passionate about. So essentially they are saying, I want to follow my Ikigai after 40. And, Vikaas and Hitungshu, we've seen many industry captains, like Vivek Reddy and others, who actually went ahead and did this, even in our friends from this industry. So I would say financial freedom is the Ikigai moment of wealth management. When you reach that point, कि अगर ये नौकरी नहीं भी है, तो पहली बात तो, नौकरी should not be the pain. Your job should not be a pain. You should wake up excited, as you said, Hitungshu. So that is, that's when you're finding purpose in your job. And if you're waking up excited, and not possible always, even 20 out of 30 days, that's great. And to be aligned with the purpose and value of the company. And then, and ultimately be able to do what you really, your money you're building up to, your financial planning helps you build up to when your second income becomes enough to cover your lifestyle and a slow continuous improvement in lifestyle. That's the point when you can take a call. Okay, let me quit now and let me do. And that could, in our generation, it used to happen conventionally at 60. But the Japanese, have changed it to 50 to 75 bracket. And now youngsters are thinking, 25-year-olds are thinking, why not 30? Why not 35? Why not 40? They're setting their own milestones. Or, in the book called Era of 100-Year Life, there's another book, The 100-Year Life, where they are saying that you could take mini retirements. So you could, at 30 retire and take a world tour of 3 years, spend all the money and then come back. So there's so many, different permutations and combinations which are driven out of people's needs. So as a financial planner, one should be aware of, who our customer is. No, KYC is very important. Just I'll take a minute, to speak about this Ikigai Venn diagram. So when I learned Ikigai, I used to understand Ikigai as convergence of these 4 balls: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. But when I went to Japan and met my co-authors, our concept was challenged. They said, no, this is not Ikigai. Hasegawa-san said, this is your Hataraki Gai. And Hataraki Gai is reason to work. And there is a difference between reason to work and reason to live, because you work because you want to get a livelihood, but you is there your reason to live in your work? And I think that is what many of India is one of the most entrepreneurial countries in the world now, with largest number of startups. I believe at a younger age, and when you see these TV shows on startups, that's when you realize that India is now the youngsters are aspiring to live a life of Ikigai.
Yeah, Rajiv, you talked to me about what is Ikigai, and to some extent you gave me an insight in terms of your personal Ikigai. But I'd just like to ask you a very pointed question. What is your Ikigai? Okay, what is your sense of purpose, and how do you bring Ikigai into your business and personal life?
Thank you, Vikaas, for asking this. My Ikigai, it took me 10 years to realize this, but my Ikigai is to help people find their Ikigai. I have put in so much research into this topic that we, along the journey, me along with my colleague Rati and all other colleagues who I'm working on the book, we have developed several tools around Ikigai, and several of them are clinical psychology tested, because one of our associates is a Japanese professor, Professor Akihiro Hasegawa, and he is a clinical psychologist who is a PhD in Ikigai for the last 30 years. So, I've had the privilege of interacting with such people, and we have put out tools. So essentially, my playground for Ikigai is my personal life and my professional life. So let's say my company, starting with my company, Bajaj Capital is a 5,000 people family. And I would say that I would have run Ikigai sessions with at least 20% of them already. Wow. And my aim is to know aspirations, stroke Ikigai or purpose of life of each of my team. And this is the goal for our HR, that you need to know the purpose in life of our team, so that their career with us and beyond builds up towards what they ultimately want to achieve in life. And then coming, the people who are the reason we exist, are clients. We have a 1.5 million client family, and so how, and a 60-year-old brand founded by Mr. 𝐀𝐻𝐿 Bajaj. So Mr. 𝐀𝐻𝐿 Bajaj has honestly given us a purpose, our Ikigai, our professional Ikigai, because his values, like Sir John Templeton and many other icons of this industry globally, his values are very clear, simple. So just to quote, that treat your client's money like your retired father's saving, who will not earn again in life. So you find this at the reception of every Bajaj Capital branch across the country. So we, as a company, as a team, look to live these values and implement in day-to-day wealth management and financial planning of our clients. And that is what our purpose as a company is.
It's amazing. That's amazing. I think this is probably a perspective I've not heard or seen. Maybe the next time I meet up with you, maybe I'd like to do a session with you. This sounds very interesting, very, very interesting. And you talked about this gentleman from Japan, the clinical psychologist, and you've also been to Japan on a spiritual path, if you will, right? Any skills or principles you have picked up which have helped you in your personal life or in your business?
Yeah, essentially, Japan for me is like a spiritual exploration 24/7, because there are things to observe everywhere around you. So, for example, you're walking on a street and somebody, by mistake has dropped a piece of paper, and the person behind him will pick up that piece of paper and put it in the bin. So, because, there is, that passion, that purpose, for the society, we should remain, our city should be the cleanest. And by mistake, somebody has joined a paper. So something as basic as that to, going to spiritual towns like Koyasan, staying in a monastery at night, doing the fire rituals in the morning, going for a cemetery tour at night, and getting blessings of millions of people, who have their tombs there, including I saw the tomb of the founders of the whole Panasonic family, so this is where several Buddhist spiritual guides have been. So there is so much to see, so much to do, and particularly even if I could show you. I personally love butter toast. So if it is possible, we can put up my presentation. I'd like to show you a particular slide. This is, one of the trips my Anu, my wife, said that I feel like eating good quality butter toast. So I put in some research and I found this store called Corner Bakery. And to my surprise, they not only they had they served very high quality bread and butter, but they also put a toaster on our table. So Vikaas, I'd like you to guess why would a bakery or a cafe put a toaster on the table? Can I ask you that question?
My normal answer would be to toast it yourself as per your thing. Would that be the answer?
What would be the advantage of that?
You just take it as per your liking.
Yeah. So, one of the insights here is that by the time, when we go to hotels, we are traveling, by the time, we always want our tea and toast hot and together.
Yes.
So, by the time the toast arrives, the tea is cold, or vice versa. So they have solved that insight, consumer insight. So Japanese call it omotenashi, which is beyond the American concept of customer delight, which is exceeding customer expectations or reading their expectations, which they are not aware themselves, which they are not thinking consciously themselves. Amazing. So brands like Corner Bakery is a one small store. Or you see, what is now very big in India, Uniqlo, the clothing store. Yes, how they put purpose into everyday wear. Their values are so strong. Other day, I was on outskirts of Delhi and I had the privilege of visiting the factory of Lixil Corporation. I had to see the sliding door systems. So, the precision with which they, they fit the doors, and there is purpose behind every, nut being where it is located, because the sliding system has to be smooth, and even a 5-year-old child should be able to open and close. And the window, for example, in a bathroom window, if it falls down, by mistake, if your hand is left in there, it stops just before, so that fingers don't get cut. So, that sort of precision and detailing, whether you're a manufacturing business or a service business, that is, I would say, Ikigai in business, which we have learned, and the concept of omotenashi, which I learned. So if you Google, say Japan Airlines, they have an omotenashi policy, and hence, to adapt such practices, I have met many Indian entrepreneur friends who have Japanese collaborations, partnerships, and they believe and they confess that the reason for their success, whether they are in real estate or in garment manufacturing, is because they have adopted those 4S principles, into their processes, and that efficiency and that concept of Kaizen, of constant daily improvement. You would agree with me, Vikaas and Hitungshu, that it is, these concepts are very much applicable even in wealth management business if one consciously starts thinking about them.
Interesting. On that note, I think Hitungshu must be itching to ask you a few questions about Ikigai and wealth management. Deb, please go ahead.
Yeah, Rajiv, I must tell you that when we started your FPSB chapter, I was the first 10 students. And recently in Bombay Stock Exchange, we celebrated the first batch of students, which includes Suraj, Kelly, myself, and a couple of few guys. So we remembered you at that time, saying that how passionately you really drove the concept and brought it into India and made it a really big thing. And I wish you could sustain that and make it into a much bigger thing as we go along. So we really felt proud and we missed you. We thought about you at that point in time. Thank you so much for making it happen for us. Talking about Ikigai, Rajiv, it gave me goosebumps when you were talking about this, the concept and how you're applying in life and stuff like that. How does this Ikigai concept apply in wealth management? That's the last statement you made. So I want to go a little deeper on that and see how does this work as far as this omotenashi works in Ikigai, and the corner bakery concept that you talked about. It's amazing. How do we take those principles and apply in our wealth management business?
Yeah, very nice, very interesting question. Twist to the question, Hitungshu. And thank you for all those nice words. And Suraj is somebody I really admire. He's one of the great innovators of this industry. Corner bakery, how can we apply the concept of omotenashi in our business? I'd say, what corner bakery is doing is putting customer need at the center of everything. Customer wants bread and tea, or bread and butter and tea hot at the same time. So what does a wealth management customer, what do they want, here and now? I would say a client wants to see their portfolio, even at midnight. It's something like tomorrow I have to take an important financial decision, and even at 12:30 a.m. if I have woken up in this, in the sleep to go to the washroom, and I just pick up my phone, which I shouldn't at that time, but if I pick up my phone and I just want to check, how much my, portfolio is, how much money could I possibly take out, that should be available, and not in, small print, but in big fonts, so something as simple as that, to be for my firm, for my, the firm which is serving me as a client, to be aware of my goals, of my life goal. Do you even know me? Do you even know, KYC is such an important concept in our business, know your customer. But besides filling those forms, how well do we know our customers? Do we know, what are they building up for? So if I can give you an example, having this conversation with one group of our team members internally, I was educated how deep a purpose or Ikigai colleagues have. So one of the colleagues who was, let's say, in mid-30s said that I am going to ultimately go back to my native village in Karnataka and open a school, because being an orphan, I understand the importance of education, and had I not got that free education, I would not have been here today. So I want to give back, and that is, so hence, for me to know the motivations of my team and for my clients, and how well could I be able to serve them. And this is what Hitungshu brought us back to the concept of retirement. And why retirement? I would say, if I can share a little story with you. During COVID, as you know, all of us had a lot of time to think, and some of us are already thinkers. And Vikaas, every time we meet him, he's done that hard thinking and lost that extra one hair. And I'm not too much better, on that.
So I'm not a thinker, Rajiv.
I can joke with him. But yeah, during the COVID time, it struck me one day while hearing the birds chirp and sitting outside in the sun, that Mr. Bajaj's quote is, treat your client's money like you would treat your retired father's saving. And we used to have brochures back in 1960s when the company was founded, Retire and Prosper. So we never used to say invest in a corporate FD of this company and get 8% return. We used to say retire and prosper. So I realized that we possibly have lost our roots. How many tools or how deep have we planned our strategy around retirement? So that this current version of our retirement business took birth at that time. And wow. We realized, and I started watching a lot of documentaries and World Economic Forum, and I realized that wealth is number 3. When somebody is around 60, they are thinking of 3 things. First thing they are thinking of is mental health. That I should not get, one of those old age, diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and my brain should be sharp. For that, I need to keep working. So what is my new job, post retirement? Second is physical health. So they are all very, now, I had met some clients who were IITN couple. They said our first investment on retiring from our corpus was to buy a treadmill and set up a gym at home, because we want to remain fit till 80 and beyond. So that, sort of passion on fitness in the whole society, not only amongst youngsters, but amongst, even people who are in this golden age. So mental health, physical health. Third is financial health. So people, the core principle of wealth management, which we all learned at CFP, is, our money should outlast us. We should not outlast our money. So if in the era of 100-year life, what the Japanese call the concept of Jinsei 100 Nen Jedi, which is the era of 100-year life. Now it is medically and, information age, so much self-awareness, it's possible to live to 100. So our money should last longer. So at 60, you are still young. In cricketing terms, you have just begun your second innings. And this is probably the golden part. And the concept of Jinsei 100 Nen Jedi is that they divide life into 4 parts. And they say 0 to 25, 25 to 50. But 50 to 75, they debunk the concept of 60. They say 50 to 75 is the most exciting part of life, because you have money. So it is the time of learning, growth, and exploration. And this is that time. So if you want to be physically healthy and you want to be putting your money to good use, so this is the time you need a corpus which you get out of your conventional job, and maybe set up that cafe in Goa, which you are so passionate about cooking seafood. So you actually go to Goa with your spouse and set up that cafe. So Ikigai in wealth management is this. So hence helping people just understand and reprioritize this is the focus of our the retirement planning startup which Jay has done.
Wonderful, wonderful. My gosh, so much of thinking that has gone into this. I mean, I never knew Ikigai had such a deep impact on your thinking and your way of life, and that's a very big inspiration now. Rajiv, just another question related to going away from Ikigai. Is there any other principles that you adopt by way of in your daily business and your financial planning advice to your customer? Is there anything that you can share with us that, which is other than these principles that you have?
Yeah, I would say that I'd like to speak of a value-driven approach. Which is that how many of us are I can confess very honestly, Hitungshu, as a dear friend, that how many of us do we really read our corporate vision, mission statement? They are mostly written by marketing, wizards in gimmicky words, and you have no association for those words.
Correct.
In my case, I would say only in last decade or so, I have actually connected, to my own mission statement as a company. And which is because it is coming straight from the core values.
Correct.
So you see any organization in our business, Hitungshu, let's say, somebody like a Templeton Mutual Fund or a Fidelity or a Vanguard, they are driven by deep values. So if you are, you have the privilege of being a founder-driven business, which so many of us are, where the founder continues to be a professional associated in the business. What you bring is a long-term vision and a set of, which is based upon a set of deep values. So like Sir John Templeton's, 10 golden rules of investing, they are iconic, in our industry. Or people read, John Bogle's books, or the way people follow Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, God bless him. So, these people are all value driven. They have philosophies and they stick to them. So our business is so, Hitungshu, you know this better than me. In our business, where you can go wrong, technical expertise and knowledge a lot of people can acquire, and there's so much information. But it is the emotions, the psychology which has to be managed.
Absolutely.
That greed and fear syndrome. So how do we ensure we don't get greedy? How do we ensure we don't panic and be fearful and get out of the market, just when we needed to stay in? So for that, our investment philosophy, our values as an investor are very important. And honestly, as an investor, how I think is, I would only invest my money with a company where my values align with the values of the firm. And only then I would trust them to give me my retirement money at the age of 60 to manage it for next 40 years. And then I would allow them, some mistakes, because I know their intention is honorable. Correct. So, values, Hitungshu, to know our personal values and professional values. So like, if I can share, I have, 5, many years ago, I had written down my core values. So I have 5 words which are printed in my head, and I assume even my family also is memorized them, which are love, harmony, integrity, achievement, and excellence. So these, I keep very at the back, subconsciously running every decision around these values.
Lovely, beautiful. I mean, goosebumps again. Brilliant. I mean, I've never heard such, such high level thinking for a very long time. Over to you, Vikaas.
Thanks, Dave. I just realized time has just flown by. It's been so engaging. So before we move to the audience questions, I think there are a couple of last questions I'd like to ask you. You talked about mindset. You talked about values. And you talked about it from an inside-out perspective. Okay. But when the rubber hits the road, when you talk to the investor, he also has to be ready to accept what you're talking about. When you talk to investors or when your team talks to investors, what is the required mindset? I'm just using that for a lack of a better word. What is the mindset which is required by the investor, to partake of all of this? And how do you have the RM or the wealth manager integrate the investor? Because obviously you are doing him a world of good. You're taking him towards a path of creating wealth for him. Retire and prosper has been one of your core values, but he should be open to it. So, he's clouded with so much of information across the industry. How do you cultivate that mindset, and what is the mindset required? I'm just asking you from an outside in perspective.
Yeah. So, let's talk about the team first. What behavior one wants to drive in one's business, is a function of three things, I would say, which is what is the culture we've set, so let's say in our company, the culture is, wealth management businesses can be very, very sales driven, very salesy, so to say. So we, in our company, the philosophy is that if you, sell less, it's okay, but it is very important that you do right selling. And hence, in our company, the folklore is that people don't get fired for, underperforming. They get counseled, they get trained. But people get fired for mis-selling. So if any incidents of mis-selling comes, so we have a very strong self-governance sort of a mechanism, to do that. So setting the right culture, backing it with proper policies and processes. So a combination of these three drives the right behavior, and then ultimately it goes into the the veins of the team. And and when the values, as I said earlier to Hitungshu, when common, only those people stay back whose values are common with you. And also longevity is something, not just a lip service for us, something I researched, proudly, so that we have a long longevity of teams. We have, Harish Bhai, for example, who runs one of our businesses now, 42 years running in the company. And all our exco is collectively over 150 years experience. And then clients, if you Google bajajcapital.com, you will find a picture of 3 generations of investors.
Amazing.
I was fortunate to visit one of such clients' houses and to meet them and have a Ikigai conversation with them, where I met the grandson who lives in Australia, the daughter-in-law, and the father who's 92, and all 3 are our clients.
Amazing.
And the father has been our client for over 50 years. And one day, Vikaas, this data point again gave me goosebumps when I got to know that of our 1.5 million customers, there are 4,650 customers over the age of 90.
Oh, wow.
So it we have reasons to believe that many of them would have been with us, over the 60-year journey of the company.
Amazing.
So for that, the values have to be aligned. And hence, from a outside in perspective, people are able to look through you. They are able to see, who is what. क्या ये सिर्फ lip service है कि क्या ये करेंगे? Will they do it? Will they do what they promise? So it's very common in our company that, let's say, one of the branch executives, 28-year-old, visiting one of the uncles, who's a client, who's 80-year-old, they would say, "Beta, aate hue na meri dawai utha lena." So he doesn't need to say which medicine. He has a list of those medicines in his noted in his phone book, and he would just carry those medicines. So that sort of connect of service. So essentially, as a client, outside in, I would first see the service, whether the person is available. When I need them, will they be available? Are they available online? Are they available offline? In this world of online, it's very important to be physically available. Not forget the importance of that eye to eye, because the technical information, market information, budget information, you can all get online.
Absolutely.
But how to reshuffle the portfolio and how to not get overtaken by the fear of market being so high. If I believe it were so, that can only happen face to face, eye to eye.
It's amazing. While I was listening to you, I realized probably those 5,000 people above 90 years of age who are with you have been able to live so long because they've been able to outsource all their worries. That's the secret of the longevity, right? They've given you all their worries and you're just handling them. Amazing. I'll just go to my last question, Rajiv, here is that, you talked about 3 generations. You talked about, somebody in Australia. One of the things we see as each generation passes, that there are newer and newer trends which youngsters get attracted to. It could be crypto, it could be robotics, it could be something related to AI. So when your RMs or your wealth managers do the investment advice, do they look at these things as trends, or do they factor in a lot of what is happening in terms of their investment advice? I mean, in a very simple thing, is it noise or is it substance?
It's a combination of two, Vikaas. It's a lot of it is noise, but some of it is substance also. So one can't ignore the noise and one has to filter through. But we are a country, where there are 7,700 fintechs, and they have already created, $150+ billion of value, and they have just begun their journey. So for a 60-year-old firm to become complacent is the last thing. So I would say that we are a 60-year-old startup and we are constantly thinking afresh. We have several incubations running within the company. So if somebody wants to start a business, has an idea, we say, "Bhaiya, business karo tum jaake, and we'll back you with the team." So it becomes a entrepreneurship venture within the company, and that's what Jay is doing, for example. I would say that let's talk about some of these things and some conversations I've had with younger people. I would, one of the things which puzzles me is that as a society, we become so global. We travel abroad. We watch foreign channels, Netflix. We are watching the US elections right now. And we are so plugged into the globe. And we wear foreign brands. But our portfolio is 100% Indian. So that is not palatable to me. So it is, and that is the reason so many, startups have come in this area, which, focusing on international investing. And it is just a matter of time, and the gift city concept for money coming into India and going out of India, it is just a matter of time before Indian investors will have a chunk of their money, not a significant chunk, but a minority chunk in near future globally. because we also want to buy, you know, these global iconic companies. We read their books. We are fascinated by the founders. We want to be a part of those stories. And so that is one, I would say, not a noise, but a trend. Another is that I see, you know, asset classes becoming very unconventional. So just to give you two examples, and you know, the youngsters are more risk-taking and dynamic than us. So I am aware of my nephews, you know, who are 16-year-old, 18-year-old, who are already investing in stocks, and they, you know, are going straight into equity, and it is actually a conversation point in their get-togethers. They talk about it, you know, that which stock did you buy and this and that. So, you know, it was never a, in your and my era, because I'm sorry to say, you know,
No, I'm used to it.
era, but you know, we
Thank God you didn't include me, Rajiv.
yeah, yes, Hitungshu, you are still younger. You know, so you know, it was not. It was much later, after we finished our education, after we got our first job. So the asset classes are also becoming. So you look at crypto. So actually, a 28-year-old client and friend had told me, boss, have you ever looked at crypto as an asset class, adding to your bouquet of companies? And that kind of puzzled me. And that day I started thinking of it. I don't know much about crypto, but I at least, you know, the person seeded a thought in my head. And then, you know, I met this young lady who is again a 27, 28-year-old who is going to high net worth investors and promoting wine as an asset class. So you can actually buy barrels of wine and invest in that, you know, in European markets. And it's been giving, you know, it's one of the good returning asset classes. If you see the, you know, what the performance, and past performance is no guarantee for future returns, but it is still, you know, something which people will look at. So asset classes will become unconventional, and the horizons will become global, and you will see people participating much younger and much deeper, so that India and Bharat, you know, you will not only have India participating in the investment culture, but also Bharat getting involved.
Amazing. I think in this entire discussion, one of the things which struck with me was 60-year-old startup. You know, you actually entered your golden age right now, given by the longevity analysis which you just gave. Amazing. I will just quickly run through the questions. Actually, you answered most of the questions, and some of the answers you've given are a little unconventional, but I think they're answering the questions in any case. I think Siddharth was talking about the budget not being well received by customers. Do you think that it was a bad move to hurt the sentiment of the consumer of India? Maybe I'll just answer Siddharth. Siddharth, I think budgets come and go. It is just you know, if you just step back and look at the larger perspective, I think the country is doing extremely well. And on a lighter note, somebody just told me the other day, don't worry, 6 months में एक और budget आने वाला है. Utsai, I think the link of the video will be shared. Satyendra Magdan is asking a question: what should be the time of withdrawal if your objective is solved by the time your funds are multiplied? What he's saying is, if you have enough of a corpus, that's what I think he's saying. Should you time your withdrawal accordingly, or should you just let it multiply?
So I'd say, you know, it has to be linked to your financial goals. If you don't need the money, let it accumulate, because power of compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. You know, your money earns money, and let it be in. And if you need the money, link it to your financial goals. And you know, India is known for its systematic investment plans, and you know, the nation is building wealth through SIPs, but there's also systematic withdrawal plans, which are very tax efficient. So that's a very good way of planning your retirement outflows. You know, so this is what, you know, people could be looking at. Think of your financial goals, And when we are thinking of our financial goals and investing on that basis, we honestly don't get as emotional also while taking the, and we are not bothered budget to budget, because we are in it for our daughter's education, which is 8 years away.
Correct.
So is दौरान तो 8 plus budget.
Correct. In fact, Satyendra has a follow-up question in which he talks about how much should you sacrifice to grow your wealth, considering the life expectancy. I think Satyendra he explained it beautifully in terms of the quadrants of life, 25 to 50, 50 to 75. But I'll just add what Rajiv mentioned. I think the fundamental change which is happening in this country over the last 10, 15 years is that unlike our fathers and grandfathers, we have moved from an expectation of scarcity to expectation of abundance. Okay, so I think the younger generation is already changing his mindset. I think we just need to think about the abundance which we have right now, which is likely to follow, rather than looking at it from a point of view of scarcity. Praveen is asking a question about which policy did Rajiv talk about at Japan Airlines? I think that's something they wanted to elaborate on. If you could just give a quick.
Yeah, it's we had put up that slide. It's called the Omotenashi policy. OMOTENASHI. Omotenashi. Yeah, which is if you Google this word and you put any Japanese brand name like Uniqlo or Japan Airlines, you'll see their policy. Many of them have policies around Omotenashi, which is exceeding customer expectations. So I'll give you one example from our industry, Nippon Life. I visited their headquarters a couple of times. Nippon Life, their Omotenashi policy is that Zutomoto, it's called Zutomoto, which is every year. The insight is every year. Sorry, I'll tell you this first. Every agent, each of their 48,000 agents who are all women, they have to go to the policy holder and explain the features of the policy. And it's not a sales call, it's a service call. So can I ask you, Hitungshu, why they are doing that?
Basically to reiterate to the customer what the policy stands for. And it's about reconnecting with the customer to say that we are here and this is what we sold you. That's what comes to my mind.
Absolutely. So it is that the insight here is every one of us, including you, me, Vikaas, and everybody on this call, we all forget the features of our health insurance, life insurance policy within weeks of buying them. We forget. So they know this insight and they say that our job is to remind the customer what features of the policy are. So each year we have to go back and remind them so that they avail all the features while taking claims, especially in case of general insurance. So this is the reason they do that, and this makes them. This is probably one reason they have become one of the largest insurance company, life insurance company in the world.
I mean, this is very interesting to see. Japanese Airlines Omotenashi walk softly when you're walking in the aisle. Amazing. I mean, such a big insight that you don't make an effort to walk slowly so that your personal space will not be disturbed by a gust.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, it's so minute but so important.
Just going back to questions very quickly, last couple of questions. Vaishali Kothari is asking for your insight on overall wealth management for people in mid-30s and 40s. I think you've talked about that. Insight on diversification strategies for wealth management. I think you also talked about that. Insight on state of real estate as an asset class, as it seemed to have appreciated significantly. Is there any room for growth and appreciation, particularly in Mumbai or other tier 1-2 cities? If you could very quickly touch upon that.
Yeah, I would say, let me talk at a more macro level. Real estate and, there's a big argument in every society, between real estate versus stocks, which is a better asset class. I had seen global data on this for last 50 years, 100 years. And this is what made me appreciate my statistics class I had taken in management school, which is understanding the concept of risk through standard deviation, which means when you have only stock mutual funds which invest in stocks or stocks directly in your portfolio, long term average return, should be well ahead of inflation if we stay put and if we just invest in an index. Same thing for real estate. But so it is never real estate versus stocks. It is real estate and stocks. When you have in a portfolio where both are there 50-50%, the standard deviation or the risk of the portfolio comes down by half. I think that's the critical insight. Risk management is the one of the key mantras, of wealth management, that before you think of returns, think of what is the risk you are taking. Be aware of the risk, befriend the risk. So specifically whether Mumbai or I don't think this is the right platform. It is for me, if it depends what you're buying for. If it is a home to live in, then you have to get a home to live in. So whether it is every time is a good time, and if you're buying for investment purposes, then you could unfortunately there are not many platforms available for retail investors where one can come in into a portfolio of real estate where the asset the fund manager is choosing on your behalf, because mutual funds is one of the most beautiful concepts to exist in India, where the fund manager charges their 1-2% fee and actually gives you all the benefits. So I would want to see more on this on the real estate side also, where retail investors can participate, so that you don't have to worry about this question. Honestly, focus on your Ikigai.
Absolutely amazing answer. A lot of people are asking questions in terms of what sort of corpus should we have, etc. Is it okay if we can get those questions and pass them on to your team, Rajiv? Is that fine?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a question by AS, for example, he's complimenting you and he's talking about the corpus in the innings after 60 years. So AS, you could send across your questions to the PMS Bajaj team. Siddharth, I think we took your question first. We've answered that. In fact, we answered that through the course of the entire discussion. Reshmi is talking about your insights in terms of managing investors with this philosophy. I think you've already talked about that. I find this question very intriguing, and I'll go to this last, what Prithvi Patel has asked. But in the meantime, I'll just wrap up all the other questions. Srini is saying that Mr. Bajaj, I read that Japan has the largest number of companies which have survived for over 100 years. What could the reason be? I think he's already mentioned about it in terms of Ikigai. Some compliments coming in your way, Rajiv, in terms of great talk, etc. Ashwini Kumar Srivastava is saying, have you finished writing your book? If no, by when can we expect it? So that's quite encouraging. And Praveen, he has not yet finished the book, but wait for a formal announcement. Abhishek again.
Next year we should be able to give you a copy.
Wonderful. Abhishek, you can send across your queries to the PMS Bajaj team. Okay, how to find a fund manager. There are some questions which are more on the philosophical part from Debnath Mohanty in terms of how do you measure the success of an Ikigai initiative and common challenges. I think you've answered some part of it as we go along. I'm going to go to the elephant in the room, this question which, I loved it. Prithvi Patel. He's asking, what is your mindset when you find some investment opportunity that may be against your values, but may capitalize great ROI for your fund? I think you answered that, but I'd just like to take that again.
Very interesting. It's I would say, it is a stage of life. Initially, when we have just started investing and we are doing our SIPs, mutual funds, we are not thinking, we are letting the fund manager decide. But when we have reached that age and stage and, level of wealth, where we become more discerning, we start thinking of ESG. Is this environmentally conscious, social impact? What is the governance of these companies? Are they in sectors like alcohol or others, which I don't. So, so those sort of filters come in later. Initially, one has to, in the, it's the Maslow's hierarchy, needs hierarchy. Self-actualization comes, a little later. First, you need to take care of the basics.
Wonderful. And we have to give an award for the best question. Is it okay, Rajiv, if we give it to Prithvi? Because I think he asked a very pertinent, poignant question direct.
Absolutely.
Yes. Great. So that brings us to the end of our session. Quite engaging. I didn't realize we've been going on for now close to 80 minutes. Thank you so much, Rajiv, for all your insights. And thank you to the audience. I think they've been very, very patient in terms of listening to this. I'm not surprised. I lost track of time. So I'm not surprised at all at the audience spending so much of time.
150, nearly 150 survivors. Thank you very much.
Survivors.
They have survived bombardment of, lots of mumbo jumbo. I hope
it does work, sir. It does work because now Ikigai is not a Japanese word for us now. We got used to it. Thank you for that, sir.
I think there were 200 plus people.
Vikaas, sorry, as a token of our gratitude, people who had specific questions around, their money, we offer a free service to make people's retirement plans. So if somebody wanted to make they are age 40, 50, 60, and they want to get their retirement plan made, and if they share, their contact details, we are happy to offer them a free retirement plan. And you don't need to wait till, 50 or 55, to get it done. Even at 30, it would make very relevant sense to see your cash flow, how it could grow, till you, till you touch 100 years of your life.
I think that's a very generous sort of offer. Thank you so much. Akshara, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And of course, the unanswered questions will be mailed to you. So just kindly take some time to answer them. That's a request from our end. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.